As an investor, how did you get started?
I think for me, it was very easy and it was a part of my job role because I work with XDC Network.
Talk to us a little bit about XDC Network. In your interactions with the founders when you joined in, what were the key value propositions that they were trying to solve?
Differentiating factor, I would say, is that if we're very fast, our transaction settlement time is less than 2 seconds.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Hash It Out by Foundership. I'm your host, Bimlesh Gundrao, co-founder at Foundership. We are a Web3 accelerator VC based out of India, Singapore, and Dubai. Super excited to bring you another ecosystem partner of ours, XDC Network today. And we have Anari Merchant, who leads investments at XVCTech. And today we are going to talk about her background, her journey, what's XDC Network is looking out, and what type of startups can you build on the XDC network. And they have a great funding arm, what sort of investments and theses that they are looking at, and so on and so forth. So this is going to be a very interesting conversation with Anari, and super excited to have her on the show today. So thanks, Anari. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Bimlesh. Thanks for inviting me on the podcast today.
So Anari, let's get right in. Talk to us a little bit about your background. How did you get into Web3 and into XDC, XVC Tech, and so on and so forth?
So my background has always been into finance. So I've always been into investment banking and the venture capital space. It's been almost 12 years now. And over the last 12 years, what I have learned is that every geography is very different. Every company is very different and no straight rules apply to any project at all, right? So initially when I was working with Deloitte and BDO way back in India, at that time, we were dealing with more mature projects. So the evaluation criteria for those projects used to be very different from the ones that I look at here. At XVC and at XDC, I look more at early stage projects. And predominantly with Foundership, it's more of the pre-seed level where it's just about MVP ready and just waiting to commercially launch in the market. So over the last decade or so, I've had a really good experience, mostly in terms of the entire product life cycle, right from early stage to mature companies, and even with companies which need restructuring, right? Because they've grown too fast too soon and they've taken up so much of debt and now they cannot sustain their operations. So it's been an interesting mix of the experience that I've had. And yes, so my work spans into Hong Kong, India, as well as Dubai. And with XDC, I have been for more than 2 years now, and I'm predominantly based in Dubai. So yeah, it's been a great journey so far and pretty new to Web3. It's been 2 years now, learning all the way. As you know, Web3 constantly evolves. Unless you don't know it today, you are not up to date, right? So yeah, it's a constant evolving process that we are going through.
Fantastic. So as an investor, how did you get started in learning about Web3? What were the couple of things that you did to help you deep dive into understanding, the potential of Web3 and how to invest in Web3?
So I think for me, it was very easy and it was a part of my job role because I work with XDC Network, which is a layer one EVM compatible blockchain. And as a part of being the core of Web3, right? Because you're dealing with so many projects day in and day out. There's so many founders coming to meet you and trying to solve those real world problems that from the day I started, I was right in the hood that no, I need to know this, I need to know what's blockchain, I need to know what are gas fees, I need to know what's crypto. Before I started, literally, I did not have any idea of what is crypto, what is blockchain. But now I think over the last 2 years, I've matured quite a bit, especially dealing with founders from all over the world, dealing with institutions, and especially the accelerator program is something that has really taught me a lot, especially in terms of the token launch, which I was probably not exposed to before. So, as I said, it's a very evolving process, and every day is new, every day is different, every day is a new learning. That's something that keeps me on my toes, and I'm very excited about in this particular Web3 industry.
Fantastic. Talk to us a little bit about, XDC Network, which is an L1 EVM chain. In your interactions with the founders when you joined in, what were the key value propositions that they were trying to solve for in attracting startups to build on the blockchain, and what's the promise of XDC Network, on their core solution for the blockchain industry?
So XDC is layer 1 EVM compatible. We started our mainnet in 2019 and have been continuously operational ever since without any downtime whatsoever. So our headquarters are in Singapore and we recently relocated to Dubai during COVID. And now the founders and the XDC headquarters are based in Dubai. Now, what is differentiating factor, I would say, is that we're very fast. Our transaction settlement time is less than 2 seconds, which makes it very ideal for projects like gaming, casinos to actually build on top of our network because of the fast transaction times. Our gas expenses are near zero. So you're actually paying $0.401 for every transaction that you do. It's very scalable, right? So you can go up to 20,000 transactions per second. So that is something that is really core to XDC. But having said that, to your question, that why did the founders start the chain, right? Now, what felt that, trade finance is a $1 trillion industry, which has a huge gap in terms of digitization of documents. It's predominantly working the way it was in 1400s, and we haven't seen any change. So it's technically not even Web 2.0, it's working as Web 1, right? So this is something that they really, really wanted to solve, and that they thought could be done on the XDC network. So that's why we always try to say that we are the real OG RWA chain, because in 2019, the founders had the vision of starting an RWA chain, especially for trade finance. And initially, we started off creating an ERC20 token, but the gas fees on the Ethereum network were very high. And we slowly found out that it's not sustainable long term. So hence, XDC created its own blockchain network with the proof of stake technique and solved this Ethereum problem. Even when you have to digitize, say, thousands and millions of trade finance documents, it's actually very economical to do so. So this is how we started, and then we went on more into financial messaging standards with ISO 20022. We have a project called Impel, which deals into this. And also over the course, we have evolved. And if you see, we have a lot of RWA applications that are currently being built on XDC. That is something that I think stands out from the rest of the layer ones that are there.
Fantastic. What in these last 5 years that that you've gone mainnet live, talk to us about some of the strong use cases that have been built and where you have seen the biggest use case adoption that has happened amongst users, amongst businesses, or even amongst crypto companies themselves.
So I think, like I mentioned, we were built for trade finance. So trade finance has a very strong focus for the XDC ecosystem. We have a project called XDC Trade Network, which is based out of Singapore, which basically digitizes trade documents and also boosts lending and borrowing for SMEs for trade finance. Now, that particular project is integrated with Trade Trust, which is compliant with MLETR standard that the UK government has issued. And they have made it a mandate that by 2030, you need to digitize around 80 to 90% of the trade finance documents. So this company is actually trying to solve that gap. So this one is something that is really good for our network. But apart from that, we have a variety of use cases as something also that we are seeing a part of our foundership cohort, that we have a lot of RWA use cases like Contact Gold, which is a gold tokenization platform backed by physical gold, is being built on the XDC network. So they have tokenized around 145 kilograms of gold till now, and it's 100% Sharia compliant, audited every 1 month. So that is seeing a lot of traction in terms of XDC. Apart from that, we have invested in and are associated with a number of projects. Example, we have native Oracle called Plugin, and it provides real-time, cost-effective solutions for any smart contracts that are built on the XDC ecosystem. That is one thing that is also we are invested in. The other one is Fathom, which is a liquidity protocol that integrates staking, wallet tokenization, and it's also an analytics platform. They have their own stablecoin, which is called FXD, backed 1:1 with the US dollar. And this is something that we have the vision for, that it should be used for payments in future. So payments also forms an integral part of the XDC network, and this is where we would like to see XDC going forward as a use case. And especially with our native token being listed on coin market on various exchanges across the world and having more than $1 billion market cap, we think that the token is something that could be used for a variety of use cases. Example, it could be used for gaming, more like a token within the gaming ecosystem. It could be used for payments. So you could buy your coffee with the XDC token. It's actually being used in UK via Uphold, where they have issued a card, and once you upload XDC tokens, you can actually go and swipe anywhere in the world and buy your coffee using XDC. We are also listed on Traveler, so you can book your flight tickets using XDC. So I think there are a lot of use cases that we look into, and those are the kind of projects that we like to focus on and get into our network, where along with the company, our network grows as well. So this is what we are aiming for, and that's the vision that we have.
Now, talk to us a little bit about the way XDC network is structured. Do you also have a foundation type of a structure, or is it more centralized decision making? And how does the venture arm of XVCTech and XDC are structured?
So the foundation is actually based out of the United States, and they look more into the United States, the America, and the Canada region, because that's something that's a completely different world, and that's something that they look after. They are also involved a lot with exchange listings, doing a lot of business development for XDC network as a whole. So our foundation is based in United States. XVCTech, which is the venture arm of the XDC network, is actually founded by the co-founders of XDC, which is Atul Kekre and Ritesh Kakkar. They have invested their personal capital into XVCTech, and this is the venture arm of the XDC ecosystem. And here our thesis is basically to invest in projects. Now at XVC, we look for a little more progressed projects, so mainly into seed to series A, which are commercially launched in the market, which already have a product validation, revenue paying customers, and are okay to integrate to XDC network. These are the projects that we look for. Now, we do not have a thesis for that, although our focus areas includes RWA, trade finance, gaming, staking, Web3 infrastructure, deepen, and AI. So these are our focus areas, which are more preferable, and we've just added a cherry on top like payments. So payments is something that we are really looking forward, payments, fintech, within the next couple of months to invest. So any projects that are looking for a blockchain and are within the payments vertical, feel free to contact us. We'd be happy to have a look at you.
Fantastic. So typically, what's your check size that you look to invest across stages?
The check size typically varies depending on the life cycle of the project. So if it is in the seed stage, our check sizes are usually lower, say around 200,000. And if it is more matured, we can go up to $1 million if it is within Series A. Now, important thing to note is that we usually come in more as co-investors rather than leading the round, because that's what we like and that's what we are comfortable with. So that is one of the criteria that we validate, that good project should have good co-investors backing, and we would like to be the last check investor rather than the first check investor.
Got it. Talk to us about some of the recent deals that you guys completed in the last 6 months.
So a couple of deals that we've done from XVC, one of them is Clink Finance. Clink Finance is basically a crypto wealth management platform, and they are creating an entire XDC ecosystem, integrating all our dApps into their platform. So that one will contain, say, Fathom, the one that I spoke to you about, the stable coin. It will give access to all the community members for staking. It it would also contain Comtech Gold, which is, since it's a crypto wealth management platform, that's something that we are really comfortable with. So it would enable the entire community of Clink, which is more than 100,000 users, to get access to our digital gold operating in more than 120 countries worldwide. So this is a good strategic tie-up that we saw, and this is something that we really are interested in, where our ecosystem can come together with the projects and we create even a bigger impact. The other one, which is very interesting, is more like a Web 2 to a Web 3 platform. So essentially, we were looking more at projects which are Web 2 traditionally, but have no blockchain element, but are trying to get into the blockchain space, either to make it more transparent, immutable, or cost effective, or just because they want to go into Web 3. So we invested in a company based out of Sweden called SwiftCode. It is a legal tech platform, and just think of DocuSign on blockchain. That is something that SwiftCode does, but it is mainly for the C2C marketplaces. So this one thing is that we invested in last year, and now they have expanded their services more into the escrow payments, where XDC is getting integrated. So the escrow payments will be via the XDC blockchain network by creation of NFTs. So this is something that they are going to launch in Sri Lanka, say within the next month. And we are hoping that it is going to be a really huge success. And this would be one of our first steps into the payments space.
Amazing. This is really insightful on how the XDC network not only as an investment arm, but also looks at very clear use cases on where the potential of both consumer adoption is and where it can really make a difference in terms of usage and bringing transparency and trust into that into the ecosystem. Now, shifting a little bit gears, right? I think for last 2 years, XDC has predominantly played a very low profile with respect to market outlook in terms of attracting startups to build on XDC network. So what's changed in 2024 that you now have a larger, more outreach partners through which you're running various accelerator initiatives and programs? So talk to us a little bit about what changed in your strategy to increase adoption of the XDC network and grow the ecosystem.
Sure. So I think there are a couple of areas that we are looking into. The first one is we are always on lookout for great builders, great developers to be associated with the XDC blockchain network. And as a part of that, what we are doing is sponsoring a lot of ETH conferences across the world, and also taking part in a lot of hackathons, which basically give us access to the developers, and the developers get to know more about XDC and build their products on XDC. So that is one way that we are targeting the developers to come to our network and build. Second, like you mentioned, strategy for 2024 is to tie up with different accelerators across the world, and Foundership being the first one that we tied up with. And our aim is to get a lot of dApps, say 1,000 dApps in 1 year on XDC network. That's our aim. So how do we achieve that is by tying with different accelerators located in different regions. So we get access to startups from those regions. Example, for Foundership, it's mainly Dubai and India. We've tied up with Tenity based out of Singapore and tied up with Brink based out of Hong Kong. So Brink and Tenity gives us access to the entire Southeast Asian region. We've tied up with Plug and Play, which is soon to be announced, and that would give us access mainly to the entire American startup ecosystem. So these are the kind of initiatives that we are taking. And apart from tying up with accelerators, we are providing a lot of hand-holding support to each of the projects that are being built. So it just does not end at, once the projects integrate to the network. It actually starts, our relationship starts from there. And we handhold them into, say, any introductions to the ecosystem that they may need. We provide access to a lot of demo days, like the one that Foundership and XDC is doing on the 20th of September in Singapore, where a lot of VCs are going to be present, and the projects can actually pitch to the VCs in order to get funding. So we provide access to demo days. We provide access to our technical resources and our technical team if need require for integration help. And we also provide funding as a cherry on top for being a part of the accelerator program and building on XDC. Typical check size for the accelerator would be up to 100,000. We aim and we hope that we are able to get to a scale where we can achieve the goal of building 1,000 apps 1 year from now.
Fantastic. I think the program that we have put together at the XDC Foundership 0x Camp is very interesting because it's a one-of-a-kind program where it's all about getting the startups token launch ready.
Yes.
Most of the programs across the world, what we have seen, we have also run that in the past, is for early stage startups. But not all startups are ready for a token launch because some may have a use case, some may not have a timing right, or many of them do not have a focus yet, right? But essentially, getting ready for a token launch and having a TG is what creates liquidity for all stakeholders in the Web3 ecosystem. So we have been super excited when we put this structure together, and very happy with the support that we have been getting from the XDC team. And most importantly, the startups are super happy with the support that they are getting from the program, with the deep involvement of your DevRels, the Foundership coaches, and the partner network of Foundership that's coming together to help them to get super ready so that by the end of the program, they walk out with a 30-day plan to TG whenever they decide to over the next 90, 120 days.
Correct.
Super. So now coming back into into the Web3 market and ecosystem, talk to us about some of the trends that you're seeing right now, some of the commentary that you're seeing, given that Bitcoin is swaying between 55 to 62. It's trying to break out the 62, 63 all-time high. And given that the US elections are around the corner, and we all know that US still continues to hold a sway on how the larger markets react to various news and stuff like that. So what are you seeing both as an L1 chain and as an investor? Where do you see the winds blowing over the next 1 or 2 years to see that how is this going to evolve? What are the few things that you see will change from here on?
So I think the market cycle would be temporary, but from our perspective, what we actually see is that the projects should have a long-term view, and they should be sustainable, be it the bear market, the bull market, or the multiple cycles that come across. So those are the projects that we are actually looking at. Now, I would like to refer to one of the reports that I read recently. It is on the XRP. It was an XRP report on global payments, and they actually mentioned that what are the trends that are currently going on in the market and what they think would be the future. And I think our strategy at XDC is pretty much similar to what XRP is doing. And that report basically mentioned a lot about instant payments, especially like you mentioned about US. There is a FedNow system in US, which actually is a significant development because it offers real-time payment services, and that is supposedly to transform the entire financial landscape, especially with the ISO 20022 messaging system. And also, open banking is something that is gaining a lot of traction in North America, and this trend is actually evolving within the fintech space, within mainly the customer experience and the financial product development space. And stable coins, I think, is something that is going to be a preferred method, mainly for digital transactions, where, say, the traditional banking infrastructure is less developed. And I think that would be a little more doable in terms of Africa, because Africa till now does not have a good banking structure, because it's easy to get in money into Africa, but it's actually impossible to get money out of Africa. And I think stable coins is something that could solve this particular use case. And apart from all the benefits like, speed, security, cost, efficiency, all of those things. And even in Africa, I think mobile payment solutions is also something that is going to be widespread seen, especially if they introduce CBDCs. That's something that could be huge. So these are a couple of things that we are seeing, especially could be the trend going forward. Now, a news came out that Intel has actually shut down its startup accelerator program called Ignite. Right. Because it was not doing, or it was not as successful as it was supposed to mean. So what we realized that a lot of corporate run accelerators get a lot of resistance, maybe from top management. Now, to give you an example, the mouse that we use was actually an invention from Xerox. And the top management ridiculed it. But it was actually from their internal Xerox accelerator. And this is something that Xerox lost and Apple bought it out, right? Steve Jobs actually saw the invention. He went to Silicon Valley. He met the founders. He saw the potential that the mouse would have in future. He bought it out. And without that, probably Apple may not have been Apple, and Xerox probably lost a lot of money in that case. So currently, if you see, the Xerox market cap is around 1.4 billion and Apple is 3 trillion. I'm not saying it's just because of the mouse, but it just gives you a good comparison of how probably the corporate run accelerators do not work. And that's why we want to come to accelerators like you, and we want projects to build on XDC and also get funded by different VCs and HNIs and then grow to a level where the corporates buy them out. So this is the vision that we have going forward for us. Yes.
Fantastic. Interesting. Now, coming to the last segment, I'm going to do a rapid fire on you. I'll ask you a couple of questions. So what's your favorite food?
Oh my God, houseway.
Okay. What's your favorite
I
holiday
had more than
destination?
100 things flash right in front of my eyes when you mentioned food, and I didn't know which one to select, but houseway.
Fantastic. What's your favorite holiday destination?
Greece.
Greece. Okay, great. What's your favorite book?
I actually like Intelligent Investor. That's something that I'm very much. I used to read a lot of Warren Buffett interviews and also hear him at the AGMs of Berkshire Hathaway. And this one book is something that he always recommended to be the starting point for any investments that you do in future. So Intelligent Investor, yes.
Fantastic. Someone that you look up to?
Oh, let's ignore that question. I don't have anyone.
Okay. What's your favorite movie that you have recently watched or you came across?
Yeah, so like I was mentioning this Intel accelerator. So there was this movie called Pirates of the Silicon Valley, and I think that is a really good movie, and I think it's a must recommend for anyone that you should watch it. And it is actually showing the reality of the big techs, and it's 100%, almost 100% accurate movie based on all the tech events that have happened in the past. So this is something that is on top of my list.
Fantastic. I will put that on my watch list and definitely take a look into it. Last two questions. What's the most exciting deal that you participated in?
I think a lot of deals actually, but probably one thing that the deal that I like is Kling Finance. And there are a couple of more which we've not invested in, but yeah, I cannot say for confidentiality, but I think Kling Finance is something that I really believe in. And yeah, that's one of the most interesting deals I've done.
Fantastic. And one deal that you regret that you missed?
Probably Zot, that came out of your own cohort, and we did not invest at the 20 million valuation. But yes, we are going now. So kudos.
Fantastic. Cool. Awesome, Anari. This has been a really great conversation. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it as well, and I hope our listeners enjoyed it as well. So wrapping this conversation up to all our listeners, Foundership is a Web3 emerging tech AI accelerator and a VC. We invest up to $100,000 through our syndicates or with co-investment partners like XDC Network and so on and so forth. Our next cohort with XDC is going to be getting started in November. Applications on the website are open. So if you're a Web3 startup and looking to figure out your token launch journey over the next 60, 90, 120 days, this is a program that you don't want to miss out on for, because in this one program, you get super value on everything that you need to get your partnerships, to get your growth strategy, to get your positioning and narrative right, and even your community and growth, right? And this is where everything happens in a fast-paced 90-day program. So do check out foundershiphq.com/XDC-0xcamp for more details. So until the next episode, Aneri, thank you once again for joining in, and we'll share all your social links on XDC and for folks to reach out to you directly in case they want to hit you up for investments and so on. So until we catch up again a few months later, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Bimlesh, for inviting me on the call, and it was absolute pleasure to talk about XDC and foundership and our vision going forward. And hope to come back on your next podcast with the next cohort.
Fantastic. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening in. You can like and subscribe to this. You can also hear us out on Spotify and on Apple Music and everywhere else. Thank you and see you soon. Take care.